Good morning, everybody. Wow, okay, is it bright? Ugh, jeez. It is way too early for me doing this. I just woke up. What ungodly hour is it right now? 9:30 a.m.? Oh, it's 9:30 a.m.? That is absurd. Human beings were not meant to wake up before 11. I'll tell you that right now. All right, no, we got work to do. We got a job to do. Come on. This is a big week for Shonen Jump. Big week for manga. Let's get those bones a-moving. Come on, everybody. We gotta get a review on. This will be One Piece chapter 1122, titled The Time is at Hand. Yeah, I know. It's 9:31 now. Yeah, I know. The time is at hand. No, okay. So, very special cover page this week. We're not continuing Yamato's golden pilgrimage to the Inari shrines, and it's also not a color spread. It's something very unique. It is an artwork of Smoker. We all know Smoker, right? Yeah, he does things in the story. Not a lot of things recently, but he has done things, right? So it's a really cool piece of artwork with Smoker. Just half of his body is like billowing into smoke, and it does a lot of work with the shadows. He's holding his staff weapon that I always mispronounce, so I just call it his staff weapon. It's like Judy or Jut or something. His Judy. He's holding that, and it just looks really, really cool. And the reason why Oda decided just to draw Smoker, Oda does this thing called the Usopp Gallery, right? Where you could send in like fan art of One Piece characters and stuff. And way back in volume 23 of One Piece, in 2002, way back at the end of the Alabasta arc, he received fan art of Smoker that looked like this, that was drawn by Horikoshi Sensei, the mangaka of My Hero Academia, which is ending this week. The last chapter of My Hero. I've already read it. I'm not going to say anything more on that. If you're a fan of My Hero, go and check it out. I'll be discussing this in another stream at some point. I'll do like a My Hero. I did a My Hero stream a few weeks ago, but I think I'm going to do another one just to kind of wrap everything up in a nice bow. And Oda even acknowledges this in volume 77 SBS when My Hero Academia had begun its run already. So this was back in 2014. So this just gives you an idea, the timeline of how long One Piece was out, okay? So One Piece begins serialization in 1997. 5 years after it has begun serialization, Horikoshi draws an image of Smoker, sends it in, like, I'm a fan of One Piece. Smoker's like my favorite character. Here you go. And then, like, 12 years after that, in 2014, Oda's like, oh, hey, there's a new manga called My Hero Academia in Shonen Jump. You should check it out. The guy that draws it made this artwork of Smoker over a decade ago. And now, once again, another decade later, My Hero is ending. One Piece is still going on, and in tribute to that, Oda drew the image of Smoker here. The only real difference is that it's, post-time skip Smoker, as opposed to, the one Horikoshi drew was pre-time skip Smoker. Dude, I'm gonna throw a fact at you, and it's gonna blow your mind. Are you guys ready for this? There was a time in One Piece where Smoker was top 5. There was a time in One Piece where Smoker was top 5 characters. Like, Luffy couldn't even touch him in Logtown, really, okay? So, yeah, he was up there for a time. Oda's also done this before, by the way, in chapter, I believe it was 766. Yeah, it was during Dressrosa. It was when Naruto ended back in 2014, which even that's coming up on a 10-year anniversary now for the end of Naruto. And Oda drew a cover page of that chapter that had Luffy sitting down eating ramen, which is Naruto's favorite food, and then you see Naruto, you don't really see him, but it's clear that he's on the opposite side of the table eating a piece of meat, which is Luffy's favorite food, and Oda put a bunch of different little, messages in the background, like, thanks for all the hard work, Kishimoto-sensei, Nami's there, and Chopper, and Luffy, and there's a fun little pun because it goes, na for Nami, and then Rufy, or Luffy, but in Japanese, Rufy, so Ru, and then Tony Chopper, To, na, Ru, Naruto. So there was a bunch of little fun little references and puns in that one. And also, there wasn't like a specific cover he drew for this, but if you look at if you look at chapter 519 of One Piece, you'll see that the cover is shaded differently, and that's because there were 519 chapters of the original Dragon Ball manga. So, of course, Oda is a big fan of Toriyama and Dragon Ball, so when he hit that 519 chapter mark, he's like, we need to commemorate this with something, so he, like, shaded it out, like, that's the benchmark. I've made it as far as Toriyama did with Dragon Ball, and I'm still going, and here we are at 1122. So, just a little bit of backstory there. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And thank you, Horikoshi Sensei, for all the work you have put into my hero in the last 10 years. I will be talking about that shortly. All right. So that all being said, Vegapunk's message is not done yet. You know what? I am done. I am done having this moment where I'm like, that was the epic final conclusion to Vegapunk's message for the world. Now it's still going. But you know what? Let me ask you all a question. I have a question for everybody, okay? With all the information that we know that Vegapunk relayed with his message, would you do it any differently? If you were in control of the world's Den Mushi network and you had to relay this message of like, you know, the world used to be submerged and now it's not anymore, but it is and it's gonna be again, you know what I mean? Like if you had to relay that message to the world, would you do it any differently than Vegapunk, and how would you do it? All right, just let me know, let me know. We see Dressrosa, we see random South Blue Island, I think, because it has a very, you know, tropical kind of aesthetic. We see probably a North Blue region because everybody's wearing warm clothing. We see a bunch of pirates that are just, like, really excited for what Vegapunk just said. Vegapunk ended the last chapter by basically saying, whoever gets their hands on the One Piece, you know, I don't know what it is, Quasar, but whoever finds it will be able to control the entire world. Well, that's a lot of berries there. That's a lot of berries. That's a lot of bananas. That's a lot of stuff to take control of there, right? So you know, a big chunk of the world is like, wait a minute, what are you talking about, Vegapunk? Pirates are gonna find the One Piece and rule the world? What are you talking about? But as for pirates themselves, I mean, they're having a fantastic time right now. We see a bunch of random pirates. One of them's wearing like a really silly kind of helmet. I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be, but he's like, yeah, pirates! And there's another one that has a top hat, and he's like, yes, me hearties! It be time for pirates to rule the world. Let's go out there and find the One Piece! So, just kind of the same thing that, like, Buggy did with the Cross Guild. He riled everybody up and got everybody energized at Kalibali Island to go find the One Piece. Yeah, Vegapunk kind of just did that to the entire world of pirates. I imagine there might even be some citizens that might be like, you know what, like, they go into their house and they start packing their things, and you know, their wives or significant others come in and it's like, dear, what are you doing? Where are you going? It's just like, I'm not letting those pirates find the One Piece, Meredith. I'm going out there. Come on with me. We'll travel the seas. Okay, I'll go anywhere with you. Let's do it. Here, take this gun. Let's go. You know, random citizens might be heading out to sea in order to find the One Piece, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen now. Vegapunk kind of opened Pandora's box with all this shit, all right? So, we cut to Impel Down. I'm not sure what you know, exact level of Impel Down. It might be level 6. It might also be like level 2. But there's a bunch of pirates that are all like in their cells, just like rattling the cages, like, let us out, guards! It's time pirates ran this show, yeah! You know, you can't stop it now. The world's gonna sink anyway. Let's get out and rack some havoc in the world before we all drown, you know? And the guards are all just like, ah, you know? And we cut to one of the communication rooms in Impel Down, and I love that Oda included this one little panel because it addresses something I brought up in the last chapter review. It's like, you know, the Marines and the Impel Down staff are very nice to the prisoners to let them listen to this message, you know? And one of the guards is like, why are you letting them listen to this? And he's like, I can't stop it. Every single transponder snail, every Den Mushi in the prison is broadcasting this message and we can't stop it. So every single snail, Vegapunk did not just send this message out, he hijacked, like, the entire telecommunications network of the entire planet. That's pretty impressive for Vegapunk. Damn. So yeah, Impel Down is filled with a bunch of transponder snails, like visual ones, like security cameras. Wouldn't it be as like all of them all at the same time started shouting in Vegapunk's voice in unison throughout the prison, and the only way to stop it is to physically go around and destroy all the Den Mushi, and that's obviously what the Gorosei are trying to do with the main one, but the Impel Down staff can't do that because they kind of need them for like their security network and everything. So it's like, we have really no choice but to just, and there's so many in the prison, they probably can't remove them all in time anyway. It's just like, there's too many in the prison, we can't stop this, so we're just gonna have to let it play. I mean, there's just no, the only other option is to remove all of our security cameras, and we can't do that, so whatever. So all the prisoners are really riled up. We see Marine HQ where we have Stainless. Stainless is the guy with the really impeccable mustache. He went to go attack Kalibali Island to bring Buggy in after the warlord system was abolished, but then Crocodile and Dazbones showed up and kind of beat his fleet back, but he's fine, he's still okay there. But then we cut to the Navy Hospital. I think it was called GS, I think. I remember because it reminded me of the GS ball from Pokemon. That never went anywhere. But we cut to the Navy Hospital, right, where we see Koby and Hibari and Prince Groose and Kujaku and all the members of SWORD and everything like that. And we get Koby's overall thoughts on the message. He's sitting there and he's just like, Luffy, are you really going to go find the One Piece? And Koby flashes back to a moment where in like chapter 1 of the series, or I guess this would be chapter 2 of the series, where Koby and Luffy are talking about the One Piece. And he's like, Luffy, are you really gonna go find the One Piece? You know, you'll have to make the whole world kneel to you. And Luffy, of course, is Luffy because he's just like, she, of course I am. You know, I'm gonna be king of the pirates. Kaisakuoni, Orowanara, you know Koby, you know what I mean? And Koby's like, ah. So we cut back to the present where Koby's in the hospital, and he has a very serious look on his face, and he's just like, Luffy-san, I have to stop you from achieving your dream. So many people might be wondering what's going on with that. I mean, obviously, Koby is a Marine and Luffy is a pirate, but Luffy and Koby, they're friends, right? So why is Koby, like, he's a very serious look on his face. He's like, Luffy, I cannot allow you to find the One Piece, alright? You gotta look at it from Koby's perspective here. And Koby, by the way, was always on board with the whole thing of like, one day I'm gonna have to fight Luffy and bring him in. You know what I mean? They're friends, even though one's a Marine and one's a pirate, but it was very clear from like what happened at Marineford. Koby was willing to like, okay, I know I'm not nearly as strong as Luffy, but I gotta try, and he Soru's over to attack Luffy, and Luffy just bullets him right in the face. You know, it's kind of like an acknowledgement of like, hey, you know, you're on that side, I'm on this side, we're gonna, you know, go to scuffle every now and then, okay? But also, I mean, it's more than that. Vegapunk has just dropped the most lore about the One Piece since Roger, you know, said it existed, right? So they are now all under the impression that nobody really still knows what it is yet, but they don't know what the One Piece is, but they now know whoever gets the One Piece is gonna have some, like, ability to, like, control the world or dominate the world to their whim, okay? Koby and Luffy might be friends, but I think Koby's like, okay, yeah, I can't let Luffy have that power. So Koby would probably view it like that power is too great for any one individual to have, pirate, marine, or otherwise, okay? Koby has very naive views of like the way the Marines should be. I mean, there are Marines that do line up with Koby's point of view, like Smoker, for instance, is one example, but then you have Marines like Akainu out there. So let's say the Marines were to go over some reform, and they really did become the organization that fights for the good in the world, and they protect the citizens, and they're a noble organization that fights for justice and all the things that they're supposed to, right? Obviously, the world government is very corrupted because the Gorosei and the Tenryubito run it and everything like that, and there's a lot of corrupt Marines, too. We saw that with the way Marines treated the innocent civilians on Sphinx Island, right? Okay? But, I would imagine Koby's like, Luffy, I can't let you have that one power to rule the world. You know, that power should be in the hands of not just one person, but a group of people that are actually going to try to better the world, and Koby does not think Luffy fits that bill. Here's another way of looking at it, okay? Think about any random friend that you have in your life. Like, just take out your phone and just go through, like, your contacts and be like, oh, yeah, that person, yeah, Bill, yeah, Bill's a cool guy. I could go out to, you know, hang out with him, have some drinks with Bill. Okay, great. Do you want Bill to rule the entire world? You might be like, well, hey, maybe some people will be like, yeah, Bill will be fine. He's a good dude. You know, we've been friends for years. I'm sure he'll be fine taking the reins of the entire world, dominating it to Bill's whim. I think most people would be like, yeah, no, that person's cool and everything. I like hanging out with him, but yeah, I don't think they're the right one to rule the entire world. I think that might be going a little bit too far, right? Okay, I think that's the reaction Koby's having right now, okay? Then we cut to Kalibali Island where everybody's cheering for Buggy, of course. Like, Buggy, you're gonna be the one! It's gonna be Buggy's world from here on out. And Buggy, hey, you gotta say one thing about Buggy, man. He is a showman. And he knows good PR, okay? He's good with public relations. He gets out there and he's like, hey, you guys, you're all saying it's my world. It's not my world. And everybody's like, wait, what? Captain Buggy, what are you saying? He's like, it's our world from now on, isn't it? All of us together are gonna find the One Piece and rule the world. And all the pirates are like, oh my God! We love you so much, Captain Buggy! You know, there's a woman that's just swooning, you know, hearts in her eyes, tears streaming down her face, like, oh, he's such a dreamboat. You know, it is National Clown Week after all, so you respect Captain Buggy, all right? He's the one that's gonna save the world and he's gonna bring everybody together. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Buggy still has a large enough ego that he wants everybody to stand around him and praise his awesomeness, but he's gonna share a little bit, right? You know, he's not gonna be a horrible dictator. He's gonna be a dictator that has other people too enjoying in the power, right? Right, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I want Buggy ruling the world either. I said this before though, if it's a choice between the Gorosei, who are like eldritch demons from the Void Century, versus Buggy ruling the world, I'm honestly probably gonna put my money on Buggy, alright? Yeah, I don't think he can make it any worse. All right, and then off to the side, behind Buggy in that little room on the balcony, you have Crocodile and Mihawk, and Crocodile just kind of just smoking a cigar, and he's just like, hey, dumbass, just get in here and sit down. You know, quit with the, you know, I imagine Crocodile and Mihawk were like, all right, everybody, sit down, we need to have a meeting. You too, clown. And Buggy is just like, hold on a second, we're all gonna find the One Piece, it'll be our treasure. Woo, Captain Buggy! It's like, yeah, that's great, clown, get in here and sit down. All right, we got shit to talk about, all right? He's like, oh, okay. And so Buggy's like, right, all right, yeah. So Crocodile and Mihawk are in a precarious situation right now. Because of what Buggy did, they can't just, like, kill Buggy and take over the Cross Guild now. That's not how this works, okay? Buggy has now made himself an integral piece, and he keeps doubling and tripling down on that. Maybe the reason he even said, like, it's our world was to kind of, like, gain even more favor with his crowd, okay, his crew. It is like, you can't get rid of me now. If you get rid of me, you're killing the great chairman Buggy, the one that made all of this. You know, they're gonna turn on you. You don't have your army if I die. And Crocodile's just like, yeah, just sit your ass down. All right, he's like, okay. It is like, all right. We then cut over to see Katarina Devon and Van Augur, who are sailing back to Hachinosu to see Blackbeard after Katarina has touched Saturn and absorbed his likeness and stuff like that, so that's going to come into play. But Caribou is also with them, so they're communicating with Blackbeard over Den Mushi, and well, I guess the Den Mushi network still works for like closed, you know, calls and stuff like that. It's not, they're not all screaming the message at once. But anyway, Katarina is like, she never wanted to really bring him to begin with, Caribou, so, you know, I think Van Augur and her are kind of like, you know, a little bit apprehensive, not apprehensive, but a little bit like wary of bringing Caribou. So Katarina's like, hey, what do you think, Blackbeard? I can just eliminate him right here. I can just kill him and chuck his body in the ocean if you want me to. And Caribou is like, no, don't do that, please. I have some hot intel for Blackbeard. He's gonna want to know this. Teach, you're gonna want to know this. And Blackbeard's like, bring him by, we'll talk. But if his info sucks, I'm chucking him in the ocean, you know? And that's pretty good logic from Blackbeard, I'd say. You know, Blackbeard already has a lot of allies and stuff. He'd be an idiot to just ignore information. But he's like, if this info's not good enough, I'm killing you, just letting you know, right? Blackbeard don't mess around. Now, this information that Caribou has, by the way, is info on 2 of the 3 ancient weapons. So Caribou knows that, you know, Shirahoshi is, you know, Poseidon, one of the ancient weapons that can control the Sea Kings, and where Shirahoshi is right now. And he would also know stuff about, like, how to get around Fishman Island and how to get into the Ryugu Palace and stuff like that. So, you know, there's information there from Caribou. And then Caribou was also present in Wano, so he also knows where Pluton is as well. And Pluton slumbers under Wano right now. This is information not the whole world knows. So I think Teach isn't going to eliminate Caribou. I think Caribou is going to get like a job on the Blackbeard crew. And I don't know if it's going to be a good job. I don't think Caribou is going to be made the 11th Titanic captain, is, you know what I'm saying. But maybe they'll be like, all right, Van Augur, you get to watch him. He'll be on your ship. And Augur is just like, ugh, I need sleep. I've been up for 36 hours, Teach. Just because I can teleport doesn't mean you can work me like a horse. Stronger's in the background, like, nay, they work me like a horse. You know, I hear it, buddy, I hear it. Okay, so Vegapunk's message continues. That is the truth. JoyBoy, and then it finally ends. I mean, I hesitate to say finally. No, it finally ends. So Top Man, remember the tusk that, you know, Emeth knocked off before? That has regenerated now. And Top Man seems to just like, boom, just ram into Emeth again. Like, that's the main attack on this thing that's working, just to keep repeatedly slamming into this golem. So Emeth gets struck again, more of his body explodes, and we see the visual Denden Mushi, the distribution Denden Mushi, inside of the giant fall over. X's appear in the poor thing's eyes, and then for good measure, the shell of the Denden Mushi that had the antenna and the dial pad and all the information, like all the tech on it, explodes on this Denden Mushi. And so the broadcast is now truly and forever gone. The one Denden Mushi that was broadcasting it is dead. Is it dead? I mean, I guess it's dead. Maybe not, though. We did see X's in its eyes, but the shell blew up. Snails can live without their shells, right? That's a thing. Hold on, I'm gonna double check this really quick. Real quick, let me just do a quick search here. Let's see here. Can snails live without their shells? Oh. Oh, no. Oh, okay, so I have some bad news for any snail fans out there. Yeah, it turns out that, well, first of all, there are these things called organs. I know, right? I'm learning a lot of stuff today. But there are these things called organs, right? And they're kind of like vital to live. You know, some would even say they're vital organs. And most of a snail's vital organs are like protected by their shell. Like, that turns out that's kind of what it's meant for. So yeah, if a snail loses its shell, like it explodes, for instance, like right here, yeah, that snail's probably dead. Yeah. Can we have a moment of silence for that snail? Like, seriously, you know, there's been a lot of death in Egghead. A lot of characters have died. Edison forever in our hearts. But this snail was completely innocent in all this. This snail did not have a choice to be here right now. Vegapunk captured a poor innocent snail, modified it to stream, and then threw it inside of an iron giant and just good luck. This snail did not take a side. This snail was not like, I fight for Vegapunk or I fight for the Gorosei. The snail was just an innocent snail in all of this, alright? So, moment of silence, please. Okay, that's good. Okay, so we're up to Snail and then Edison for the saddest deaths in Egghead, alright? The giants are all like, Iron Giant, no, you were so cool, you know? And so we cut into the sky now. The sunny is still falling, and Ethan is still hot on its tail. So I want to, like, the time frame of all this happening is very quick, okay? So the sunny blasts off from the Labo phase a few chapters ago, right? Kude burst. Atlas then grabs Ethan, flies away with her jetpack, detonates herself, blows herself up, takes a good chunk out of Ethan, and also propels the Sunny even further. In the process of the Sunny falling from the sky, Ethan had enough time to heal from all of the injuries from that explosion, that Atlas's self-destruct, and was able to resume following the Sunny all the way down. So all that damage that Atlas incurred on Ethan slowed him down maybe like, I don't know, 2 or 3 seconds. How long would it take the Sunny to just... Not very long. I mean, this is manga. You're going to abuse timing a little bit. It's going to be like, whoa, we're falling, we're falling. 3 episodes later, we're still falling, you know, but Ethan healed pretty quick from this, okay? So Zoro's seeing Ethan coming back, and he can walk on the air. He has like a Geppo kind of technique. So Zoro's getting ready to fight, and Ethan's about ready to unsheath his sword. Usopp and Chopper's eyes are popping out of their head. Nami's like, ah, you know? And then you have Emeth, who's just communicating. So he's communicating with Luffy, but Luffy's the only one that can hear him because no one else can hear the voices of all things, and that's how Emeth is communicating. So he's like, I'm sorry, JoyBoy. I knew there was no way you could still be alive. It's just that you look like him, that's all. And Luffy finally gets it. Luffy's in Gear 5th bouncing around on the Elbaf ship. By the way, keep in mind, Luffy on the ship bouncing around and Emeth on shore, I mean, there's a distance between them. So the voice of all things is not like sound waves or something like that, where like because Luffy's like kind of far away a little bit. He'd be like, "Why? What's that?" You know, it's more of like a psychic connection. I think we could always assume it was a psychic connection, like the Sea Kings below the waves were always communicating, like their mouths aren't really moving. It's more of like, you know, communication like psychic. So that's just interesting. But Luffy finally gets it. He's like, because this entire time, the Iron Giant, Emeth, has been calling Luffy JoyBoy, and Luffy's like, I'm not JoyBoy. Why do people keep confusing me for this guy? I keep saying my name is Monkey D. Luffy. I'm gonna be king of the pirates, right? Well, Luffy's finally like, wait a minute. Are you mistaking me for someone else, finally? Oh, do you think I'm somebody else? And Luffy's finally getting it. And Emeth is like, it's just you look just like him. My feelings from that day, they came back. I hope he forgives me. I failed to make him king. And Luffy's like, king? What are you talking about? Like, the expressions on Luffy's face here are actually like, I want to hear more about this from you. I'm like, oh, you thought I was somebody else. Okay, well, like, we could talk, we could chat. What's going on, giant robot man? You know? And so Emeth brings up, like, I failed to make JoyBoy the king. What kind of king are you referring to, Emeth? King of the pirates? I don't think so. Because who is the person that rules the world right now? Who is the king of the world that sits upon the empty throne on the top of the red line? Well, that would be Im-sama. And this all occurred during the Void Century. So one could assume if history went a little different, JoyBoy might have been the one to sit upon the empty throne and be king of the world, right? And so maybe that was what the ultimate war was for way back in the day. A war to who rules the world. Not like, I will rule the world. I mean, yes, there was that, but also like a literal, like, there is a world government and I will sit on the throne and I will command said world government and I will control economic policies and why, you know, like that kind of stuff, right? Also, it is what Rocksteady Zebek was looking for. Rocksteady Zebek didn't say King of the Pirates. The term King of the Pirates did not come about until Roger found the One Piece, and then the whole world started calling him the Pirate King, right? So before that, when Rocks, like 40 years ago, was out doing his thing with Whitebeard and Kaido and Big Mom and Wang and Silver Axe and Shiki and everybody, you know, he was like, I'm just gonna be king of the world, right? So what if Rocks learned about the Void Century history and was like, oh, there's somebody that sits on the empty throne. I'm going to take that power for myself. Oh, dude, I just had an idea. I don't know if okay, how do you feel about this theory? Do you think the empty throne itself has a power to it? Do you think it's just a cool looking chair? Or do you think there's actually significance to it? I'm not saying the empty throne is the One Piece. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, there's a reason only Im is allowed to sit on that chair. Is it just, like, symbolically a thing? Or is it like, no, that chair has something going on with it. If you look at the back of the chair, it looks like the Grand Line Islands all converging at one location. It's interesting theories with the empty throne. But yeah, that's a question. But at any rate, yeah, Emeth might be referring to that. Like, there was a war 900 years ago during the Void Century, or like around 800 years ago during the end of the Void Century, and only one could have standed atop the world and ruled everything, and it could have been Eam, or it could have been JoyBoy, and it ended up being Eam. And Emeth obviously was fighting alongside JoyBoy, so he feels bad, like I couldn't let your dream come true, right? So as Emeth is communicating this to Luffy, we get an awesome double page where all of the Gorosei, except for Mars, we're going to see what's up with him in a moment, but we see all of the Gorosei converging on the area with the Iron Giant and with the Straw Hat ship. Peter comes down in his sandworm form. He looks like he's just about ready to just eat the Thousand Sunny while it's in midair. Just grab it right out of the sky. Top Man's about ready to ram Emeth again. Ethan is running through the sky. We see Saturn. Oh yeah, Saturn! So last time we saw Saturn, looked like he got knocked into the water. He got knocked into a bunch of different pieces by Luffy and Bonnie and knocked into Swiss cheese and fell in the ocean. He's now back on the shore, looking perfectly fine, back in his spider yokai Ushioni form, okay? So I don't think water is a big deal here, because if you look at the last chapter, he was very clearly in like a bunch of different pieces right about to hit the water. Like, the water was here and he was like, whoa, and then that was where that scene ended, and now he's back to the shore again. I guess you could say one of the Gorosei like grabbed him and rescued him, or they used another summoning circle to bring him to the shore or something, I guess. But to me, it looks like he was about to hit the water, and now he's on shore again. So maybe they'll show it more in detail in the anime, perhaps. I don't know. Point is, all the four Gorosei that are present are on the shore, all about to attack at once. And then we get another epic double-page spread where Emeth releases his final attack, all right? This is the one. This is the big one, ladies and gentlemen. So Luffy announces, of course, wait, I'm Monkey D. Luffy. I'm going to be king of the pirates. And Emeth is like, D. I see. Okay. Yes. Luffy. And so Emeth finally calls Luffy by his real name, Luffy. Luffy, thank you for letting me hear those nostalgic drum beats one last time. Don't die, Luffy. I won't let you die. And so then, inside of Emeth, and I was trying to look this up on like the lore involving the golems and stuff like that. I couldn't find anything exact. But inside of Emeth, there is a rope, and it's tied into a knot. And we just have a scene of this knot, of this really old rope, just being drawn taut. And when that happens, all hell breaks loose. It's a hockey bomb. That is so cool to say. I'm coining that hockey bomb. Hockey nuke. Here we go. Just boom, right? And so just a tremendous shockwave of Conqueror's Hockey fires off of Emeth at ground zero. Boom, right? Okay? And it covers all of Egghead and all of the surrounding waters. Every Marine that is lower than, I think, Vice Admiral is immediately floored by this. Even the Vice Admirals like Dahl and Pomsky are like, this hockey is so powerful, what is this? There was a scene in film Red where Shanks releases a big burst of Conquerors, and there were even Vice Admirals there, like Momonga. Momonga had to drop to one knee when he felt the hockey, and some other Vice Admirals passed out, and the only ones that were perfectly okay from that were Kizaru and Fujitora, who were admirals, and Kizaru was like, oh, you're even knocking out some of the Vice Admirals with that hockey, and then that's the whole scene in the movie there. This is a hockey bomb from JoyBoy. All right, this is JoyBoy's Conqueror's Hockey, stored inside of a rope that is then drawn taut, and then boom. By the way, not unlike the technology from Wetheria that Nami learned when she was training there with Haradus. Remember, there were these little ropes that, like, you untie them once in a gentle breeze, and you untie them twice in a strong gale, and if you blow them 3 times and it's drawn taut, then a giant hurricane swell comes through, or whatever, like, ah! And remember, Nami got really annoyed by that. Like, what are you doing, you stupid old man? But, like, hey, I don't know if there's a connection with that, but there might be a connection with that. Anyway, giant hockey explosion. I actually probably would have liked it if some of the Vice Admirals, like, we actually saw, like, Pomsky pass out from this, just to show how strong JoyBoy's hockey was. Like, Admiral level in the Gorosei, clearly, that wouldn't have worked, but, like, you know, some of the Vice Admirals, maybe some of them did. I mean, we don't see all of them. We really just see Dahl and Pomsky. We don't see anyone else. Maybe Hound passed out from this, or at least, like Momonga in the movie, at least dropped to, like, a knee or something with the power of this thing, right? So anyway, as the hockey, the Gorosei are right there, epicenter of the blast, just boom! And it's also important to mention that Emeth's body does not, like, explode. It's not like a nuke. It's not like Emeth is exploding with this. Just a giant hockey shockwave, okay? And the Giants and Luffy and everybody that Emeth deems as an ally is unaffected by this, right? So all of the Gorosei that are caught in this blast, follow along here. The first thing that happens, all 4 of them, Top Man, Jay, Ethan, and Peter, all turn back into their normal human forms. Okay, they all go back into their human forms. Then, we immediately cut to Castle Pangaea at Marijois, where a summoning circle is in the center of the Room of Authority, and we see Marcus Mars sitting there on a couch, just, like, looking like... And then the summoning circle activates, and then Ethan and Top Man and Peter, not Jay Garcia Saturn, appear in the summoning circle, and they're just like, ugh, like Top Man's on his knee, and Peter and Ethan are just like, ugh, yeah. And Marcus is just kind of like... Personally, I think Marcus is just happy to not be standing up for a change. Every time, I think Oda might have done this on purpose, because there was an SBS recently where, like, every time you draw the Gorosei, Marcus is always standing up. Is that because he didn't turn his homework in and Eam told him to stand? No, Marcus, did you finish your homework? No, I'm sorry, my dog ate it. That's not an excuse. You stand up for the rest of the class. Oh, okay, Mr. Eam. And then the whole class laughs at him, you know? So Marcus gets, after, I guess he got attacked by Bonnie and Luffy, I guess he got sent back to Marijois, and he's like, well, I'm the first one back. I get to sit on the damn couch now. I also love the expression on Marcus's face, where he looks at the other 3, and he knows immediately, like, we fucked this up. Alright, we failed. He just looks at him just like, really, guys? Really? Alright, who wants to be the one to go to Eam and tell him? Who wants to be the one? Alright, so why did this happen? I could think of a few different explanations, alright? Giant Conqueror's hockey bomb hits the 4 Gorosei, they all turn back into their human forms, and immediately show back up at Castle Pangaea. Alright, so except for Saturn, okay? And there's a reason for that. There's actually a very simple reason on why Saturn was the only one that stayed, okay? So, after the Gorosei, after Saturn used the Kuchiyose no Jutsu, used the summoning jutsu, remember, we saw a shot of the Room of Authority with it being empty, all of the Gorosei gone from the room. And we saw the summoning circle in the middle of the room. So I'm going to assume, whenever they use this summoning technique, there's a time limit. You open up a summoning circle and the Room of Authority, and then another Gorosei, anywhere in the world, Saturn in this case, opens up a second summoning circle. And then the Gorosei can travel through that circle to this other location. However, there's a limit. There's a time limit here. And it might not be a strict time limit exactly, like a certain amount of time passes. It could be. But it also could be until the Gorosei receive a certain amount of damage, or a certain amount of hockey damage, might be more specific. I don't know if regular physical damage would do it. But if they receive a certain level of hockey damage, then the time limit is up, and they bounce back to the original summoning location, which in this case would be Castle Pangaea, all right? So I think when Luffy and Bonnie did their combination hockey attack and just beat the shit out of Marcus Mars and sent him flying, that was enough to turn off, like that reduced his limit, and then that sent him back to Marijois. The other joke, I mean, this is kind of funny. Luffy and Bonnie just hit Marcus so damn hard, he got sent halfway across the world back to Marijois. He got sent flying right back to, he's like, whoa! Ah! And then he just lands at the red line, flies through the Room of Authority's window, and just lands right on the couch like, oh! The hell just happened? Like, that would be pretty funny, but I do not think that's what happened, all right? I don't think, like, they sent him so far he slammed into Castle Pangaea. Maybe, though, that would be funny. I think enough damage was dealt to Mars that he just went back, okay? And then, when Emeth is releasing this Conqueror's Hockey bomb, just boom, 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 that just dealt so much overall damage to the Gorosei. They reverted back to their human form. They got knocked straight out of their original form, of their yokai forms, went back to their original forms, and then that limit also ended for them. The reason Saturn did not teleport back, he did not teleport there originally. He sailed there. He physically got on a boat and went to that location and then used the summoning jutsu to summon the other 4 Gorosei. They were there via magical yokai means. Saturn was there under normal circumstances. He's just there. So it would make sense why, because the hockey bomb affected him the same as the others. You know, Saturn turned back into his human form just like everybody else, but he was the only one that didn't go back. It's because he was not summoned there originally. I think that's the reason for it. I had a theory, but I scrapped it because there is a thing that disproves it. I thought, well, you know, the Gorosei arrived at Egghead in their yokai forms, remember? Like, when they appeared out of the summoning circles, they were all in their full yokai forms, and then they, you know, like Ethan went into his hybrid form, you know, going around the island and stuff like that. But I was wondering, oh, what if the Gorosei have to stay in their yokai forms, either in their full yokai form or their hybrid form, and if they go back to their human form, then they get knocked back to Pangaea Castle. But that's not the case, because Mars was in his human form walking around the lab looking for the Den Mushi. Saturn was in the area with the Mother Flame attacking the console, also in his human form. So that can't be the case. That's not a situation. But it was one angle I was looking at. No. So, ultimately, I think this just proves that Conqueror's Hockey is the ultimate almighty damage in One Piece. You know, if you add Conqueror's Hockey and armament, you can bypass any defense. If you hit the Gorosei with enough Conquerors, that's going to mess up their weird yokai magic. Now, Saturn is still on the island. Maybe he can go back into his form, maybe he can't. I don't think it's as simple as Saturn just using another summoning circle. Like, oh, you sent them all back. Well, boom, there might be a thing where it's like, no, our hockey has been depleted. I cannot summon them again. Or they need time to recover in the castle or something like that, right? It might need, like, there's a cooldown period here. Because if Mars could just, like, if Mars was warped back to Pangaea, he could have just been like, Saturn, summon me again to the island. And he didn't do that, so I'm assuming they cannot do that. Now, they were defeated, I guess, but they weren't really defeated. And here's the other thing that you need to look at. The Gorosei, I think, were defeated this time because they were summoned. The next time we fight the Gorosei, if they just show up normally, and there's no way to just hit them with a hockey bomb and warp them back because a time limit ran out or a damage threshold was reached, that fight next time is going to be to the death, okay? And we're still going to have to figure out a way to eliminate the Gorosei, right? We then cut to the Room of Flowers, where Eam is having a little bit of a tantrum. Eam's going through some things. He's on the ground, like, doubled over on his knees, like, why, JoyBoy, no! No, there's one of the servants, one of the silhouetted servants we don't know. Maybe it's one of the God's Knights, I don't know. It's like, great team, are you okay? Why is he back? No! no. You gotta understand, from Eames' perspective, he's been dreading this day for 8 centuries. 8 centuries! He's like, I hope that son of a bitch doesn't come back. I hope JoyBoy doesn't come back. And now it's finally happened. He's like, I knew it! Damn it! Oh, man. So Eames having it rough. The Thousand Sunny finally reaches the ocean. I thought it was going to land right on the Great Eric. I thought a couple of the giants were going to, like, grab the Thousand Sunny and they're just going to sail away. But no, the Sunny is next to the Great Eric. Luffy's there, still in Gear 5th. Like, oh, hey, you guys made it. Good job. You know, what happened to those monsters? And it's like, I don't know. They just disappeared. It's like, all right, well, whatever. Saved us. And it's like, let's get out of here. Let's go. Let's end this arc already, right? The giants are all like... You know, Dory and Buggy are like, how did a robot shoot off Conqueror's Haki? That doesn't even make sense. Whatever, we got here safe. Usopp, Jinbei, and Chopper all like hugging each other, like, it's okay, guys, we made it. You know, Nami's like, yeah, I'm good, I'm fine, but Atlas and Edison died. It's like, no, Edison died, why? So, last scene of the chapter. We cut over. So Luffy and all of the giants and all the Strats, they sail away. Come sail away with me to Elbaf. They leave, okay? And the last shot is we have Saturn back in his human form with his cane, just kind of standing in front of Emeth. And Emeth is just on fire and smoking and just like, ugh. And we have a flashback between Emeth and JoyBoy, the man himself. So this is JoyBoy speaking, and we see JoyBoy, but he's still in silhouette. But we see a couple of things. We know he wears a straw hat, which we could have assumed that. We know he has a straw hat. We know he has like a cool cape. He's got like a cape similar to Luffy's cape that he wore at Onigashima. He's got like a high collar and a flowing cape. Also, very notably, the last shot of the chapter, JoyBoy has a peg leg. I'm pretty sure he has a prosthetic leg, because we see one of his feet and then we see one of his other leg, and it's just like a stick. So JoyBoy has a peg leg. He's the peg leg pirate. And unfortunately, Zeph is gonna have to file. Like, Zeph was first. I'm just saying. Wait a minute, JoyBoy is Zeph? Oh my God, it makes so much sense now. You know. But anyway, JoyBoy is speaking to Emeth in the flashback. So Emeth is wearing like an very similar like Dory and Buggy, like a giant kind of outfit, you know, like overalls, and also has an X on his arm. Because remember, this is Emeth back when he was like fully functional, like in his prime, okay? So he doesn't have any rust on him or anything. He has like a new coat of paint and he's wearing clothing. And Emeth has giant arms that are very similar to like Frankie's arms. And there's an X on the arm, which is like very similar to the mark that the Strats made when Luffy and everybody were leaving Alabasta and they said goodbye to Vivi, and Vivi's like, I'll always be your friend, right? So hey, that's a callback there. Also just reminds me of Frankie having the stars on his arms, you know, there we go. JoyBoy says, listen up, Emeth. The time is at hand. The time, JoyBoy? Yeah, I'm gonna gather together my most powerful Haki. It's divine, ancient, void century Haki. And I'm gonna seal it inside of you. Whoa. Emeth is like, whoa, that's crazy. You could do that. You're bound to live a lot longer than me, Emeth. And I'm not always gonna be around to help you. Aw, that sounds sad. I don't want you to die, JoyBoy. It's like, don't worry, that won't be for a while yet. But at some point, you're gonna be in mortal danger, or there'll be somebody you wanna save. And when that happens, untie the magical knot inside of you. When the time is at hand, you'll still be there to help me. That's right, Emeth. I'll always be here to save you, even from the past, just like always. And Emeth has like a little, like his eyes go like, ooh, thank you so much, JoyBoy. I really like that. I don't want you to die. That makes me sad. But you'll be there to help me. That makes me happy. And, you know, JoyBoy's like, yeah, don't worry about it, though. We'll still have plenty of time together. This won't be for hundreds of years. And he's just like, ages and ages, huh? I hope I don't get lonely. And then we cut back to the present, final shot of the chapter where Emeth, the lights just go out of his helmet. It could be because of the Haki bomb, or it could just be because Luffy, which is the power source, is now sailed away. And either way, Emeth goes back to being dormant or dead, and just, he dreams of the memories of the past. Oh. End of chapter. Break next week. Shonen Jump is on like a general break next week. Okay. You do realize what we just witnessed, right? You do know what Oda's doing here, right? This is, I like this trope. I like the idea of doing this, and it's been done before in One Piece and a lot of other works of fiction. Take a character and show us the end of this character's journey. And then through series of flashbacks and references later, we kind of tell a story in reverse. I really like that. Where we're learning about the end of Emeth right now. This is a warrior that was on JoyBoy's crew, one of his closest confidants, one of his best warriors during the Void Century War that has lasted 800 years to the present day. And he had one final mission, and he protected JoyBoy. He could hear the drums of liberation one more time before he died. I want you to imagine, right now at this moment, you are put into a state of cryogenic sleep, and then you wake up 1,000 years from now. Everybody that you had a connection with is long gone at this point. You wake up in a world that is completely foreign to you. Maybe it's like Back to the Future, maybe it's super advanced like Egghead, maybe it's like Idiocracy. Honestly, I'm probably putting my money on Idiocracy, but you wake up 1,000 years in the future, and you're completely alone, and there's no one around that you recognize, and everybody you knew is long dead, alright? How happy would it make you to see a familiar face one last time, or to hear a familiar voice one more time? That's Emeth right here. He comes back and he's like, JoyBoy, where are you? I'm lonely. I don't understand. I don't know where I am. Where is everything? And then he hears the drums of liberation from Luffy, and Luffy looks just like JoyBoy. And Emeth's like, okay. Oh, you're Luffy. Okay, you're not JoyBoy. Yeah, I guess he wouldn't be around anymore. It's been a long time. All right, well, thank you for showing me that form one more time, Luffy. I'll protect you. Guess this is it for old Emeth. And then he just, you know, yeah. I'm assuming that it's because Luffy left that he powers down and he's just gonna sleep forever now. I wonder what Saturn's gonna do with Emeth's body though. Like, is Saturn just gonna be like, it's scrap metal, dismantle it, you know? So yeah, but that's, I guess, the end of the Egghead arc. I mean, maybe the next chapter might be the last official chapter of the Egghead arc, just to kind of bring everything together. Like, you know, the Straw Hats have rendezvoused, and the Giants are there, and they can chat with everybody and hang out for a bit, and then be like, oh, now we are set sailing for Elbeth. I think the end of the next chapter, if it doesn't cut to another part of the world and we focus on that, but the end of the next chapter might very well be like, now we go to Elbaf, you know, in this big epic double-page spread where Luffy and Usopp and the Giants are like, Elbaf, bound, you know? It's just like, yeah, that's gonna be really cool, right? But, yeah, that's the end of Emeth. Sad death, sad death. Top 5 saddest deaths in Egghead. Number 1, the distribution Den Mushi. Number 2, Emeth. Number 3, Edison. Number 4, Dr. Vegapunk. And number 5, Shaka. Shaka died. Number 5, Shaka. Those are my top 5 saddest deaths in Egghead. I'm not going back on any of them. Alright, anyway. That's the chapter. A lot of crazy stuff. Yeah, Emeth, always going to be in our hearts. And I don't think he's going to be coming back any now. But, I mean, we'll see it in flashbacks. You know, we'll see the whole story of Emeth and everything and how he came to be and how he has consciousness. And that backstory with JoyBoy. JoyBoy is, like, standing, I guess, on a building. He's, like, standing on, like, a flat, like, building, but then there's also, like, a tree growing out of it. And also, this might not help. This actually might help us for height because, yeah, JoyBoy is obviously way smaller than Emeth because Emeth is this massive giant. But it looks like JoyBoy, comparable to Emeth, is relatively, he's much bigger than a normal human, which makes sense if the straw hat we saw at Marijois is the same one that, you know, JoyBoy is wearing here in this flashback, right? So JoyBoy might very well be like, okay, if a giant, I think the smallest giants are like 12 meters tall. JoyBoy could be the height of like Kumar or Whitebeard, maybe like 6 meters, 7 meters tall, something like that. And then Emeth is like the massive size of like the Vega Force 1 robot. Like he could probably pick up the Sunny with his hands or something like that, right? Whitebeard also was a character that we learned, like we saw the end of Whitebeard's journey and then learned more about it later, you know? So that's another example of this. But anyway, yeah, that's the chapter. Pretty good, and break next week. But yeah, catch you back here for the next chapter. Later, everybody. Teching, signing out. 10:30? I gotta edit at 10:30? Oh, I'm getting too old for this. Oh, man.